Patrick Hostis here. Apologize if I'm a little under the weather, so sorry if I don't my usual cheerful self. I want to use my platform here to kind of point out government accountability issues whenever I think they come up, but especially when they have to do with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And a story that has been on a couple of different media outlets caught my attention that has to do with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We all remember the death lists and the issues that came out of that, of them putting veterans on these fake lists, you know, to wait for appointments, even though they had a certain timeline where they had to have these veterans appointments, but they didn't want to show the fact that they weren't doing their job. So they put them on these phantom lists that had no government accountability, and a lot of those veterans on there passed away. So if you remember that, that happened out of, you know, a couple of years back. And no VA officials really got in trouble for it. They did an investigation or whatever, but apparently a lot of the people that were rolled into that or investigated or found liable in some way through media reports I saw retained their jobs. So it makes you wonder how serious they were, at least the Obama administration was, about cleaning up the VA. I mean, basically the Secretary Shimseki quit was asked to resign or whatever the circumstances was, and that was it. And supposedly the VA is all fixed now. You know, I mean, obviously I'm not talking about Donald Trump's time, because he's only been in office a month, so he hasn't had a lot of time yet. But I will have a message for him at the end of this video, though. But back to the story. So apparently there's a couple of elderly gentlemen that were in the VA hospital in Durham, North Carolina. And I'll share the pictures that I found online here, and I'm also going to attach the links to these news articles that I'm looking at in the details below. So a couple veterans were at the VA hospital, the emergency room there, trying to seek help, and they were pretty well, and again, this is according to media reports, they were both struggling in severe pain. One of them ended up was asking for somewhere to lie down, and apparently they wouldn't give him, let him lay in a cot or something like that. So he ended up laying on the floor. And then the VA decided, or the nurses or whoever, the staff there, told him he couldn't lay there and he had to get up. And he's saying, look, I'll be fine, just give me a blanket. And they're like, nope, you got to get up. And apparently this went on for hours. Another veteran who was there had one leg and he was in severe pain. I guess he was really shaky, almost fell out of his wheelchair, according to reports and things like that. And they pretty much ignored him. And this went on for hours. This isn't like a few minutes or something like that. Now, there are a couple of folks here, and you can see it on the links that I'll provide in the details below, who took the pictures here and are reporting this. So it's not something that, obviously I witnessed or anything, but taking taking out this news report and just taking what I know about the VA and what I've witnessed at the VA hospitals, I could totally believe this. And that's from my own view. So I'm not talking about anybody else's, but from my own viewpoint, I've seen how uncaring, let's say, the VA staff can be. Does that mean every single person in the VA is bad or horrible person? No. But I do think that this incident needs to be investigated, and it needs to be investigated right now, because if this is exactly what it's being said it is, and they neglected these two, these are elderly veterans here. So this isn't like some, 18-year-old who's got the flu and thinks he should be taken to, in a heliflight somewhere, and or whatever. It's not an instance like that, okay? This is something a little different. You can't take risks like this when you're talking elderly patients. I know a little something about, medical care. That's not something you can do. And judging from the pictures, neither one of them look like they're in very good shape. So it needs to be investigated. Donald Trump said numerous times during the election that he was going to give back to the veterans. He was going to, do right by us and do that. Here's a perfect opportunity, President Trump, for you to prove that. Because this needs to be investigated, and if it is, like I said, if it is what it is shown to be, people need to be fired. Bottom line. So, no more, oh, we're going to do an investigation, and this guy's going to disappear, and he'll come back with some other cushy, structure, high up corporate structure job in the Department of Veterans Affairs somewhere else, or even in the same place once all the media buzz goes away. That crap can't happen anymore. This has got to stop. And I really truly believe that nothing is going to change unless people unify together and get the word out that these things are happening. So the folks that shared these pictures and that are getting the word out on this, I very much want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. So now it can be investigated. A government investigation would be the best, if they could do it, but at least it could be the court of public opinion, I guess. If this is how the VA acts, and I guess I direct that comment at President Trump. President Trump, is this how the VA, how your VA treats veterans?
PH News. Our motto is fact-based media.